Hello everybody, I'm a Canadian, my name is Greg, how you doing on lockdown? I wanted to give you guys some content, and today is April 10th, 2021. It's been a year since I uploaded this video, If Canadian Liberal Ministers Were Honest. It went actually quite viral on Facebook. It got over like half a million views. And it's interesting because this was a year ago when lockdown was happening and our government was kind of all over the place. And I want to see if this has aged, how this piece has aged. And it's a good jumping off point for a lot of different things that we're experiencing now with this never-ending story pandemic. So without further ado, let's reflect on this piece of content of mine from a year ago today. If Canadian Liberal ministers were honest. Look at me there. I didn't even bother shaving. Didn't even bother shaving to make this. Okay.
So as a Canadian health minister, it's very simple. Do not wear a mask, as a mask will not protect you. Also, if you stand too close to one another, you'll be fined for thousands of dollars. Any questions?
So you may not remember this because this was so long ago, but I got the article here from April 2020. New rule prohibits walking within 2 meters of one another in Toronto parks. So you could get a fine up to $5,000. And this was before the mask mandates. So obviously kind of just pointing that out off the top, how you can get fined for thousands of dollars, but, you know, the masks aren't going to do anything. It was actually just so absurd how how all the rulings that they were coming out with in April were just still all over the place. And let's not forget, April is not like really early days in terms of the lifespan of the virus, right? Because we knew about it. Basically, people were tracking it starting in January. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. How dumb do you think we are?
I'm not going to answer that question. However, I will say, how do you think I got here in the first place? I don't have any professional experience in the healthcare industry. Quite literally, before this, I was a graphic designer and marketer. That was my profession, and here I am. And if you look at the other guy being a drama teacher, that's not really a joke. That's actually quite accurate to his actual qualifications. So I would pass the question back off to you. How do you think we got into this situation?
I just want to pause there because that was like a really big red pill for me to get involved in politics to begin with. When I saw this Justin Trudeau guy being very geared to like become the next prime minister, I just did a quick like Wikipedia search, and I'm like, this guy doesn't really have any like real world experience in anything, and that just didn't sit well with me. But I mean, obviously, that's kind of a more continuing theme, it seems, here in Canada, where the people governing us, making major decisions that affect our daily lives and the livelihoods of all Canadians, don't have really that much relevant experience to what they're doing. All Canadians should really care about that, I think. I think that's a big concern. But anyway, as we keep going here.
Yes, next question.
Do you think Canadians will ever discover that yourself and other Liberal ministers are grossly incompetent?
We've created multi-million-dollar payout packages for the Canadian news media to make sure you, the press, don't ask us any tough questions. Because when you do that, it makes us look bad. It gets Canadians thinking, we don't want that. We want Canadians sedated. We want them to be feeling good. We don't want them to be thinking about, how incompetent we might be.
I really want to emphasize like gross incompetence, like very, very gross incompetence. Since that's happened, since I made this in April 2020, a great example is Catherine McKenna and infrastructure projects. And I'll go to the Rebel one first because this has the most harsh, direct headline: audit of $187 billion worth of Liberal infrastructure spending finds 20,000 missing projects. I like this headline because it's holding this Liberal minister's feet to the fire. Okay, this is gross incompetence. You've lost track of 20,000 infrastructure projects and a bunch of money, taxpayer money, to go with it. That's terrible. And as I was speaking to here in this little skit here, You know, the media, the Rebel holds her feet to the fire here. Even in the National Post about the same topic, and the National Post is supposed to be this conservative paper. Well, it's very conservative. Listen to this headline. Federal government still $2 billion shy of spending targets under sprawling infrastructure program. Doesn't sound like anybody messed up. Doesn't sound like anybody misplaced 20,000 projects. The same information is in this article. Where is it now? But here we go, right here. The same information. The PBO report on Wednesday also clarified questions that have been raised by opposition MPs in recent weeks over why 20,000 of the total 53,000 projects under the program remain unaccounted for. So the same information is there of this major gross incompetence, but yet it's not in the headline. You know, it's not mentioned in a harsh way in the headline. And I think these people that we pay to represent us and pay to manage infrastructure projects, they should be on the ball, and we should be shaming them when they mess up. But no, National Post here is kind of wishy-washy. Oh, there's some yeah, we're shy of the spending. And even Toronto Sun, this headline's once again not really. Infrastructure Minister asked for proof of 52,000 public works. Yeah, that's true. The major point is that there's a bunch missing. That's the important piece of information there. Anyway, I thought this Catherine McKenna example is a good example of gross incompetence that's been happening over the past year and been coming to light, and yet our media not really, we're not really going to, you know, call that person out for being grossly incompetent. We're just going to try and sedate Canadians and say, oh, well, you know, kind of brush over all of it. Isn't that nice?
And what's great is with this partnership with the media over the past 4 years, we've been able to lower the expectations of Canadians and really give them a whole new idea of what leadership looked like. Essentially, a leader now can be a victim of a situation and not really expected to take any sort of meaningful action until things have really started to go down the drain, which is what you've been seeing with our Prime Minister over the past little while, which is fantastic for us because as we continue to lower the expectations of Canadians, we don't have to do as much work, things get worse, and we're still just the victim of the situation, and all we're really expected to do is, you know, give you hollow virtues and give you these nice sounding catchphrases because you are sedated. We will continue to speak down to Canadians, treat them like children, and when it comes to the information, absolutely leave them in the dark.
Yeah, that seems about right on the money. Right on the money. This whole COVID response thing has been so terrible. And only now, I'll bring these up, just these headlines from Globe and Mail. This is from 2021, and this one is from 2021 March. The opinion, Canada's pandemic response has been consistently mediocre. Canadians are fed up with our pathetic response to the pandemic. Our media has this habit of bringing something up a year later, like a year after it was relevant to be talking about it. Oh, now there's an opinion piece in the Globe and Mail. We knew it was a bad response pretty well a year ago. I mean, I'm just going to bring up my buddy Frank Vaughan here. I don't know if you've heard of Frank Vaughan. This video is from February 15th, 2020.
I started filming this. The virologist that I spoke to in a previous video on condition of anonymity has reached out again. I'm going to refer to this person as...
He was all over coronavirus back in February. I'm pretty sure he had some videos in January talking about it, being very concerned about this virus coming out of Wuhan. This is a garlic farmer. I don't mean that to denigrate the guy, but like he's a guy who has his own stuff going on. He has an internet connection, and he's using Google Translate to translate news from China. He was a better source of information than the Canadian news media when it comes to learning about this coronavirus. What were we hearing at the time? We were hearing about, oh, it's racist to close down borders. It's your viruses don't respect borders. But Frank Vaughan with the power of Google and Google Translate, wow, he's this amazing, mind-blowingly brilliant guy. And I'm not saying that to denigrate the guy, but it's like we have experts. We're led to believe that we have this big caucus of liberal ministers who are ready to do what's best for us. And then this video I made is from April. There were no mask mandates, but they were handing out fines. It's just all over the place. And I want to bring up long-term care homes. Long-term care homes. This is only January 5th, 2021, so it's not up to date. But 14,000 long-term care home deaths. To this day, there hasn't been any policy-specific things for long-term care homes. If I'm not mistaken, the CDC released information on COVID in March 2020 that this virus targets older people. And we have done nothing to prioritize older Canadians at all. And now 14,000 of them have died. So complete incompetence. And every time we talk to or look at a liberal minister, it's just we're doing everything we can. We're looking at the stats. Doug Ford says the same thing. Well, I had a meeting with the head of the hospital, and we're really doing our best. What are they doing? What are they doing other than destroying small businesses and demoralizing the country? Oh, let's keep going. So will yourself or any other liberal ministers admit that you were wrong about your initial assessment of COVID-19 from back in, say, January, February?
So let me be clear. As being part of the Liberal government, we never take responsibility for anything. We have never been wrong, we are never going to be wrong, and we certainly won't admit if we ever have been wrong in the past. I mean, even with this face mask issue, we'll probably completely change our opinion a couple days from now, and we will double down on all the same fluff that we are working hard for you, that we're looking at all the science, and we have the best interest of Canadians in mind, because we pretty well pay the media to make us look good. They quite frankly work for us. So whatever we design, whatever messaging we come up with, we're going to make sure that Canadians eat it up no matter what.
No matter what. Yes. Yeah, the mask mandate, speaking of which, didn't happen until June 17th. So June 17th. So the initial lockdown started in March, April, May, June. A full 3 months after that, that's when the mask mandates showed up. So, I mean, there's so much on this topic that I won't get into because the proper research is needed. But, I mean, really on the surface level, it really does look like our Liberal caucus and our Canadian federal government went out of their way to mess this up. Went out of their way to, now COVID's everywhere. And we have to lock down now. It's, what did they do? You know, like what's a positive, like, is there anything positive we can say that they've done other than the lockdowns that have destroyed our way of life and so many small businesses? Like, that's the only thing that they've done, and it's really only been destructive, largely. The amount of like things they've prevented, I don't know if they've been proactive or prevented anything throughout this that I can tell. Are you concerned that some of your past decisions may result in the death of more Canadians?
So being a proud member of the Liberal Party, part of my job is not having a conscience, not thinking too hard, and just following orders. You see, we have such a strong brand about being virtuous and being such great people that it doesn't matter if we're inadvertently funding terrorism or putting the Canadian public in harm's way, because we just hide behind our brand, deny, and act like we've done absolutely nothing wrong and we're working hard for you. So to answer your question, I don't even think about that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I made a joke on Twitter today that, you know, there's the Liberal Party, our Liberal government is so littered with scandals right now that it could have its own Wikipedia site documenting every single Liberal scandal. But I thought I'd bring this one up of a Liberal MP charged with assault, break and enter, and criminal harassment. This is an elected MP working hard for you in the Liberal government. But interestingly, he was actually arrested a year ago today, April 10th. So I thought that was interesting. But, I mean, the point here is, this is on the post-millennial. It's never something you hear about. You never really hear about the wrongdoings of people in the Liberal Party. and I really want to do a longer video on the Liberal Party itself. But essentially, there's the brand of the Liberal Party, which is being virtuous and feeling good, and don't you want to be a good person? And then the actual characteristics of the party, which is very much like a cult-like obedience. Deny of any wrongdoing, and just like strict loyalty to the directives of the party. I think it's really sick and disgusting, to be honest, because it's become so big, the Liberal Party and their cronies have become so big that it's become this disgusting cauldron of groupthink, where no one's really allowed to be an individual anymore, and everybody is just kind of part of this cult, and everyone's covering for everyone else's ass. And it's I mean, I don't have to explain it. The SNC Lavalin, the We Charity scandal, and that's just off the top of my head. But it's disgusting to know that the media, at least in some part, is complicit in what is morally wrong, what is objectively bad behavior, unethical behavior, and they just want to get a paycheck. And obviously, as the economic downturn continues in this country, people are going to get more desperate. They're going to continue to shill because you know, they need to put food on their table at the end of the day.
One question, please.
How do you sleep at night?
I have 2 Xanax, 1 Ambien, and 2 shots of Tito's vodka. Thank you.
Ha 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 ha. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Just wanted to go over an old piece of content that I thought was a good jumping off point for a lot that's still going on in this country. I am working on more episodes of Canada Now, so those are coming down the pipe. Make sure you follow me on TikTok if you have the app, because I'm doing some fun content over there. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at GDub. I'm also on some alternative platforms that I'm trying out. I'm on Gab.com. I'm on Minds.com, so check those out. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Hope you're getting some fresh air and keeping sane, and we're going to talk to you soon.